Milo, is that you?
There, I think I got it. Marcus.
Lionel.
Marcus.
Lionel.
Hey, how's things in the transportation museum game going?
Pretty well. Getting ready for some big times here with all the holiday stuff coming up. So.
Yeah, exactly. Besides the Polar Express, what else do you have? Do you have like a Christmas train or something, or is that it? The Polar Express?
That's the Christmas event. But then we have right now we just wrapped up Halloween event, so we roll right out of Halloween and into Christmas very quickly.
What about Thanksgiving? Do you do something for Thanksgiving?
No, that's all falls during the time span that the Polar Express is running.
Okay, so you don't have a turkey running around or nothing like that?
Well, no, but we do participate in the local Christmas parade that happens on Thanksgiving Eve. Comes down through downtown Spencer, so we participate in that.
Okay, now, so for folks that don't know, that voice is Marcus Neubacher, and he is the foundation director of the North Carolina Transportation Museum in Spencer, North Carolina. Did I get all that right?
Pretty correct, yeah. Director of Administration is my official title.
Right, Director of Administration for the North Carolina. So, and every once in a while, a little known fact that we try to keep quiet, but just something that I try to help by throwing out ideas. So here's another idea I came up with for your Thanksgiving time, either on Thanksgiving weekend or the Thursday or that Saturday or during those 4 days of Thanksgiving. Why not release like a half a dozen live turkeys on the train?
Giant turkeys.
You've heard of snakes on a plane. No,
right.
Turkeys on a plane.
Well, now that's not
turkeys on a train.
Turkeys on a train.
Now, see, Derek, you ruined it. That's just silly.
Oh, okay. That's the silly part.
Yeah, snakes on a train is just silly because then people are going to get scared. At first you think, oh, look, it's a turkey. And then, then they start pecking everybody to death. And it's a whole different genre. Everybody, most people hate snakes. Most people like turkeys.
I'd rather a snake than a turkey.
And since we can't do inflatable animal costumes at Springfield anymore, we could challenge AML Nation to show up in inflatable turkey suits on our during the Thanksgiving parade.
There you
or whatever,
go. There
right?
you go. Yeah,
hey.
There you go. Okay. Yeah. So, so the other voices you hear are David Lund and Derek Magnotta. And today our guests are none other than Gordy Robinson, the president, El Presidente of the National Model Railroad Association, the Worldwide National Model Railroad Association, and his trusty sidekick, Riley Triggs. And I'm pretty excited because we have them here, David. We have them here because they're going to talk about the NMRA's new branding. And I have no reason to suspect that this is the case, but I'm pretty excited because I feel like there's a good chance it'll be all centered around me.
You may be the only one, but we'll see.
I think there's a word for that in psychology. What's that word I'm looking for?
Self-centered.
Something like that. Yes.
Yeah, narcissistic.
That's the one. That's the one that was in front of mine. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Gordy and Riley, come on in here.
Hello.
Hello.
Happy to be here.
Hey, Gordy. Hey, Riley.
I haven't talked to Gordy much about this, but since I'm a sidekick, I think I need a name. Something like the Queso Kid or something like that.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. Just trying that out. Just workshopping it.
Queso Kid is nice.
Trigger's a little too easy. Trigger's a little too
obvious.
Yeah, it's a bit too obvious.
Riley, what is your official title at the good old NMRA?
I am Department Chair of Publications. So I oversee and help people put out the e-bulletin, the turntable, and the NMR magazine, and all things kind of printed that go out from the NMRA.
Oh, wow. That's a lot of work.
It can be.
And how long have you been doing that?
Oh, that's a really good question. Gordy, when did you start as president?
2021. So July 21.
July of 2021.
Have you only been president 4 years?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 4 years.
All right. Well, that's cool. Man, you got a lot done in 4 years. A lot of water has flowed under the bridge in 4 years.
Yeah, it never stops. It never stops. Sometimes it's torrential.
So let's get right to the crux of the matter. What I don't understand what's happening here with new branding. Like, how did that? Maybe the first question we should ask is, give us, Riley, a brief synopsis of what new branding means. Does that question make any sense?
That does.
Okay.
So what we have done is look at what the NMRA is doing as an organization and where we want to go in the future, and taken that viewpoint and looked at how we are presenting ourselves to the world, mainly visually. And we have come up with a branding identity that permeates all the way from the start of the logo and the identity all the way through rebranding web pages and magazine, calendar, social media, stickers, shirts, et cetera, et cetera. So the idea is that we are kind of catching our identity up to where the organization is right now, and most importantly, where we want to go in the future.
And how did this come about? Because me, as a longtime NMRA member, like, kind of thinking, okay, well, the NMRA is there. Like, how did you guys come up with that this is something that needs to be done?
Well, I think we last rebranded back in maybe 2010, early 2000, something like that. Yeah. And that's a brand that didn't really quite catch on. That was something that was just a logo and just a typeface, and didn't incorporate kind of a fresh look and a complete look that permeated all the way through the organization. So kind of starting at that point, and again, the fact that so much is going on, just like you mentioned. I mean, in the past few years that Gordy's been president, we started really tackling the huge issues of a hobby organization these days. Where is it positioned in the hobby? Where is it positioned in people's lives? Where is it positioned in the world? And what are the things that we need to do in order to become, in order to stay really the premier national and international organization for model railroading. And, a lot of that has to do with, first and foremost, retaining current members, making sure that the services we provide for them are, still doing what they need to do, but then also looking outside of the organization to potential new members, and especially kind of with our demographic, the younger members. That's something that's always been a challenge in the hobby. Traditionally, what's happened is kids will get involved and interested in model railroads as kids. Then, they get to a certain age and they go to college or start a job or start a family or all of that all together. And it's a few years before they come back to it, realizing that they've kind of wanted to do that all along, but didn't really, necessarily maybe have time or money to engage. And so our demographic has traditionally kind of been older individuals who, maybe, in a really kind of cruising point in their lives, or even retired and don't have the burdens of a job and whatnot that take all of their time and effort. So what we've seen, though, is that, there's plenty of room for kids and young adults to spend time in a hobby, and they are. And so, part of this effort of the entire NMRA kind of rebranding and looking at our services and how we connect with people who are interested in model railroading is, how do we attract this younger crowd? Where are they? What are they doing now? Why aren't they already members? And how do we appeal to them and kind of come to them where they are? And that really starts with branding and an overall attitude that we project to the world. So that's what the branding and identity process is hoping to do. And at the very heart of it is capturing what we're doing right now and in every area of the organization to change and improve and strengthen the things that we already do really well, and bring on new things that will keep us relevant for years and years to come.
I think that's great, Riley. I think it's I have been known to criticize the NMRA from time to time. I think my biggest thing was that the NMRA didn't necessarily look and feel like the hobby did. And it sounds like coming into this, your objective was to bridge that gap, right? To make the NMRA represent everybody in the hobby and be accessible to everybody in the hobby, not just the folks who've traditionally joined. And so I think you guys have done a really good job not making any assumptions and, engaging in really a full evaluation of the organization and talking to a bunch of people inside and outside the NMRA to make it happen.
Yeah, and that's one of the first things that our branding consultant did. We found an internationally known, award-winning branding firm to help us take a look with fresh eyes at the organization and the hobby, and adjacent hobbies and similar associations, and what is going on in the world, to help us, see who we are, and we told them who we want to be. And so they produced I'm looking at it right now, a 298-page document of research.
Moly.
This effort is a professional effort. This is not something that we're taking lightly, and it started with that.
Now, I was just going to say, a 298-page document. You know what that reminds me of, Derek?
I don't.
It reminds me of the White Rose Hobbies website.
Yes, White Rose Hobbies, who gives a discount to NMRA members.
Exactly. And they're whiterosehobbies.com. They're right there in downtown New York, Pennsylvania at 4401 West Market Street. And we got to come up with a new contest now because Neil Erickson won our Tell 'em Lionel Sent You contest. So this is on our free channel, Riley and Gordy. So we have to plug our sponsor. Which, is there any chance that the two of you were standing in White Rose Hobbies in York, Pennsylvania when you came up with this idea?
No, but we could have been near their booth somewhere at Springfield.
There you go. Nice segue. Yeah, they were. That's what it was. They were walking past the booth of White Rose Hobbies in Springfield, and Riley turns to Gordy and says, based on the way White Rose Hobbies runs their business, maybe we should think about rebranding the NMRA.
Well, you're not too far off, Lionel, because we talked to a lot of people at that show, and we could have very possibly talked to them. This 298-page document has interviews of manufacturers, vendors, members of the NMRA, non-members of the NMRA, including, I think, a couple of people who are currently on this podcast. And we took all of that information, stuck it into this report, and used that as a guiding principle. So I can't emphasize enough that the research that was done on this, looking at what colors are prevalent in manufacturers' logos, what colors are prevalent in our division logos and our region logos, looking at what typefaces are used. What is the typical demographic of certain things, of certain parts of the hobby? What are all the different parts of the hobby? And then going around and interviewing people and asking them tough questions like, what do you expect from the NMRA? What is the NMRA not giving you right now? What are the favorite things that you have about the NMRA? How did you get involved? What brought you to the hobby? So all of this, gathering of information informed our designers about how to approach this project. And it seems like a really easy deal to just, draw a new logo. And yes, you can do that in 5 minutes. But we spent many months going through this research. Our designers reacted to it and came up with something that we think is really indicative of the attitude, of the freshness, of the change that's happening, and this idea that we want to be as an organization going forward. And we're really excited about it.
Yeah, a lot of times people will hire consultants to tell you what you want to hear, but you guys did the opposite. You brought in consultants to really do a deep dive. Out of 298 pages, obviously you don't have to reveal any confidential information, but what stood out to you the most, or what surprised you the most out of that research?
I think it's kind of the opposite of what you said. They confirmed a lot of the things that we knew.
Really?
Yeah, which was pretty interesting. One of the questions that we asked was, in one word, describe the NMRA. And, this kind of opens things up. You ask questions like that and, you're kind of afraid of what the answer may be. But they asked everybody they interviewed what it was. And they picked out, the top 6 as things to really react to, and things that really characterize and sums up the people's viewpoint of the organization. And those are inclusivity, community, fellowship, vision, friendship, and education. So those are all, really great things. I mean, that's why we have an organization. That's why we do hobbies. That's why we make great friends. That's why things like, Modeler's Life Nation comes about. Everybody is looking for ways to, recreate themselves in their pastimes and in their hobbies, and coming together and sharing things, sharing ideas, teaching people what learning from others. That's what makes, something really great. And I think the NMRA is, the reason the NMRA is around is to make that possible. All the way from, creating standards so that we can go over to each other's houses and, play with our toys together. All the way to, the meetings we have, the shows we put on, the things that we do to make it possible for people to really, really get more out of this hobby than you can on your own. So the fact that there's so many words that point to this idea of community, this idea of people coming together, was, it was frankly, it was a surprise to me, because I thought there was going to be more negative things that came out. But I think people, even all, through all the criticisms and wanting things to change and, all the things that everybody always talks about when the NMRA comes up, it comes down to these 6 words where people really realize that this is a vehicle for them to enjoy the hobby more, to enjoy each other, and to really just, be human beings and enjoy life.
I think that's really important. And I think it's indicative of what the NMRA executive is, because let's face it, I made a mistake by criticizing the NMRA and by criticizing Lucy, who's the...
Right. She's our head of social media. Yeah. There you go.
Okay.
Yeah, social media and member engagement.
Right. So I made a mistake of criticizing her in public on the podcast here, which was of no help to anybody. And I really feel bad about that, because that was 100% my fault and nobody else's responsibility. But I think that what at the end result is, this shows that the NMRA, you guys being here on the podcast, shows that, at the end of the day, what you want to have is fun. And if you're not open-minded and willing to, accept apologies and things like that, you're never going to get forward. And that's important. What you guys have done, it's an open door. You're trying to improve the community. Sometimes when somebody's a jerk, like what I was, sometimes it's important for the executive to be able to say, hey, we still got to move forward, and you can't hold a grudge and stuff like that. So I think that's pretty impressive as far as I'm concerned, anyways. But then I'm impressed by live turkeys in a train. So,
well, who wouldn't be, though? I mean, come on, it's a great picture. But I think, Lionel, to your point, the NMRA is a place for everybody, and I'll say that one of the knocks against the NMRA, I think, has been that there are some people who project an image of the NMRA as being stuffy, as being old school, kind of in a bad way, as in not wanting anything to change. That kind of the rivet counters and the sticklers for details and rules and regulations and things like that. And it's not necessarily a positive image, and it's not an image that would attract the younger crowd. But to your point, there's room for everybody in this hobby. There's room for everybody in the NMRA, and we've got a lot of different people and a lot of places that people can fit in comfortably. But I think there's some things that this identity rebranding is wanting to convey and wanting to really embrace and provide a better view, a more realistic view of what the NMRA actually is. That it's not just a bunch of old curmudgeons that say no and don't want things to change or be any better. But it's really about modernizing the organization, bringing it into the 21st century, doing away with that perception of politics and being sticklers for rules and regulations, and not having really the grace or the generosity that permeates through the hobby, and also getting younger, simplifying the organization, streamlining things, focusing on the important things that we do, and making things more fun for everybody. So these themes kept coming up in all of the interviews, and I'm sure some of these are probably things that are familiar to you all, that you have probably said to people. But we need to find a way to make this a big tent, to not splinter into different scales and different factions, and have all that disruptive and divisive business go on. It's about, hey, let's all get together and encourage each other to enjoy the joy of model railroading, and to really get on with it and have some serious fun.
I mean, model railroading offers so much to so many people. And, like, I've had this podcast for 10 years, and I just simply got too big for my britches, and was lucky enough that everybody was a lot of people, not everybody, a lot of people were willing to give me a second chance, which I think is exactly what the NMRA that Gordy had in mind has been all along. Is that, would you agree with that, Gordy?
Yeah, no, the culture is at the heart of it. Absolutely. Yeah. And it's got to be a culture of kindness. So you've got to lead that from the top, right? So, and I think we're seeing that, and we're seeing a massively increased amount of kindness within the organization that was already there, which is bringing it out to the front. And transparency in both of those things, to me, are really, really important.
I like that culture of kindness.
Yeah,
I would like that.
Riley said something a little bit ago about enjoying the joy of model railroading that really stood out to me, because hobbies are supposed to be fun, and then that means your engagement with the hobby organizations are supposed to be fun. And so if there's a perception that it's about rules and paperwork and politics, like that stuff's not fun. We do hobbies get away from HR and rules and politics and all that stuff, right? So I think repositioning the NMRA as a big tent place where you come together no matter what your interests are and enjoy the hobby, and pursue education and fellowship, and make sure the trains can stay on the tracks with your standards. I think that's the NMRA's strong suit. So I'm excited by what you guys have come up with the consultants and everything. So where are you at in the process? Like, is this? Have you released new branding? Are you releasing new branding? Where are we at in the timeline?
Well, as we speak, we probably have just released it on November 1st of this year.
Oh,
That's
so you,
when our yes.
So you just released it a couple of weeks ago.
We just released it a couple of weeks ago at TrainFest, to a glowing reception by all, and we're really looking forward to the coming months rolling it out. We'll have an article in the NMRA magazine explaining some of these things that we've been talking about today, talking about how it came about, what the logo represents, why we're doing it, all those sorts of things. As well as talking to the media, podcasters and magazines, and getting the word out there about how this is coming out and why. And then in January, I guess on our part, on November 1st, the website changed, our social media changed, and so the kind of first look, the digital presence of the NMRA will have this new identity, a new attitude going forward. And then starting in January, you'll see things like the magazine be in a new format that reflects our branding and ideas. And then that will sprinkle all through the organization with all the collateral from letterhead to business cards to T-shirts to hats, and then down into the division level as well, where we'll start having materials ready for the divisions that they can use that have the new branding.
What was Gordy? What was the biggest surprise to you from this whole endeavor?
How long it's taken? Probably no. I think it's been a good process. It's what I expected. I didn't expect it to be easy. I expected it to take a long time. I'm encouraged by the feedback that we've received and by the people that have been involved in it. I'm guessing that you guys haven't seen it, so if that's something you wanted to do, we could do that right now, and then we could get your live reactions in a minute if you wanted to. But yeah, so we could do that, and we can walk you through live on the podcast and stuff. So, but I think no, it's a good process. There's some. I've jokingly internally said that this is Gordy's retirement plan, because there's one thing you want to do to make sure that the best way to not be here is to annoy absolutely everybody, and the best way to annoy absolutely everybody is to change something major that affects everybody, and you can't get more major than a logo or a mark or a brand, because people hold it to their chest. And we see that in the organization today, where the majority of our divisions and regions still have a logo that's not in their incorporated into their own logo, that hasn't been our logo for 15 years. So I don't think this process is easy, and we've had to make some difficult decisions, such as all the regions losing their individual logos to conform to the new branding for the organisation. But that's important that people recognise that this is the NMRA when they're out on the street.
Yeah, unity, I guess, is important. And just talking about the importance of a logo, just look at the reaction people have to when Burger King slightly changed their logo, or anybody like that. A logo is very important. It communicates who you are. So I think it's important to consider it carefully, and also the unity that you're mentioning is good to put it all under one umbrella.
Yeah, the most recent example of that is the Cracker Barrel logo.
Yes,
here in the States, right? And I think that's heavy on our minds, as how are people going to receive this new identity? But there's a big difference between Cracker Barrel and the NMRA, as you can imagine, in so many different ways. But one of them is that the people who frequent Cracker Barrel and who are really their kind of core demographic has to do about tradition and about things not changing. And what we've heard over and over and over again in our research through this process, and dating back years before this, and things that I think several people on this podcast have mentioned, is that we need to change, and that we need to get new, and that we can't just be like we were back in 1935 when things started, because things have changed. And so, showing change, showing modernization, maintaining the relevance and appealing to a younger crowd, and appealing to kind of modern life, and how do hobbies fit into modern life, I think is really important with this. So I'm not anticipating that we're going to have a backlash like Cracker Barrel, just because things are a little different.
Yeah, it is a different world, right? It's not. It's like you're sitting with tradition, like you said then, and now you're looking at more of maybe improvements and moving forward and that kind of thing. I don't think anybody's as tied to this logo as they would to a Cracker Barrel logo, for example.
Correct.
Sorry. And the big thing for me with this, and I've drummed this into the entire project team, both NMRA side and external side, is that this had to be a brand for everybody, which meant there has to be a way for the lowest denominator of a grouping of NMRA members right the way through to the top to be able to be recognized as part of the big organization. So the brand incorporates divisions, clubs, committees at national level, teams, even potentially like Modeling the Masters teams and things like that. Every single part of the organization has the ability to adopt this brand, which was not what was done previously. And it's never been done in the organization before, that the entire organization's been considered in a project like this. And you see that. I mean, it's probably not a surprise to listeners here. That while I've been president, and with the current board that we've got, and the current great people like Riley in the national leadership roles in departments in the operational side of the organization, thinking in a different way, because that's what I've tried to encourage everybody to do for the last 4 years. And you saw that with the digital magazine, another one of Riley's great projects. So, that's the big difference for me here, is that there's something here for everybody. And if you're part of the organization, why would you not want to show it? And no one loses their logo, their mark. We've incorporated, they've shown a way that every division and every club can keep their mark, keep their logo, keep their identity, but incorporate it into the new brand. So I think that's quite unique as well. So it's not quite the McDonald's approach of every single McDonald's is as a separate owner, but they've all got the golden arches over the door. We are effectively going to put the golden arches over the door, but you can stick something else underneath it. But we'll show you. I think we should show you this in a second, and then you can have a look at it, and we can get your live reaction, hopefully. So.
Yeah, we'd love that. Yeah, well, I have to applaud you guys because you've taken a really considered, measured, and professional approach to this, and I think your point about people have been asking for change, people have been asking for a refresh, and aligning with the inclusivity of the NMRA. I think you guys have done a tremendous job. I just wanted to say that before we saw it. So congratulations so far. Let's take a look at it. I'm excited to see it.
How are we going to look at it, Derek?
Well, we are in a studio, but we can share the screen. If you guys want to share your screen, there's a share button inside the studio.
Yeah.
I think Gordy or Riley could do it.
Okay.
Yeah, I can share it.
Unless you guys want to send me the logo ahead of time, and I can have those.
Oh yeah, sure.
Have those vector graphics and
Eric takes over the NMRA.
Let's do
okay.
No
all right. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I can see that. I can see it.
So just I think Derek was saying this that he wanted to say something before, like he saw it, before he developed an opinion about it. During this process, the members of our own committee didn't necessarily like where we were going or what we were coming up with at the beginning. And with any sort of change, any sort of new logo or anything, one of the things that you want to do with it as a designer is you want to challenge people just a little bit. Because if they're completely okay with it and completely comfortable with it to begin with, that means you're not really changing anything. You're not really pushing the ideas or bringing anything new to the conversation. But I will say, by the end of the process and going through this and sitting with it for a little bit, the people who didn't necessarily like it at the beginning actually broke into a meeting that we had a couple of weeks ago and said, hey, I didn't like this at the beginning, but now I get it. And now I really like it. And now this is something that I feel really embodies what the NMRA is. And it's something that will, serve us as a new brand. So I will encourage people not to just kind of knee jerk and, just on the visual qualities alone, decide whether or not they like it, whether or not it's, what they had before or what they are envisioning, but to really kind of understand what it is and how it can be used. And how it is displaying all these things that we were talking about with change, modernization, transparency, and things like that. So just kind of going through this, we've developed a set of graphic standards that we're going to be using within the organization, all the way from national down to the local divisions. And the idea here is that, again, like Gordy was saying, we're looking to create a unifying visual identity so that when people are dealing with any part of the organization from national down to local levels, they know that it's the NMRA. They understand that we are one body that has many different parts to it, lots of diversity, lots of inclusivity. But the idea is that there is a gathering place. There is a large community that's represented by this new logo. So just kind of going through this a little bit, looking at, what the logo is, where it came from, and the ideas about it. Our designers went, kind of directly to the source, right? Directly to the trains themselves and looking at, how a logo could start to embody what the basic, element of this model railroading hobby we have is, and that's obviously train cars, locomotives, things that are on the tracks, things that are moving around. That's obviously what is the center of our entire hobby. So they took a typeface that would start to kind of embody this idea of a train car or a locomotive. And of course, the wheels are an integral part of that. And so a typeface that is nice and bold and strong and, represents the 90 years of an organization, all the strengths that we already have, and literally putting it on wheels and saying, hey, we're a serious organization, but we're also playful. This is all about joy. It's a hobby. And what could be more playful than a logo that's on wheels? So The logo itself is the NMRA in a bold typeface with a set of trucks on them, a couple of sets of trucks on them, just like a rail car or a locomotive. This word mark, the basic one, the kind of standard mark is going to be the red. We did a lot of research, again, going back to that 298 some odd page research document. We did a color study of things in the hobby, both the logos and products and manufacturers, as well as our own identity throughout our divisions and regions. And red is one of the most prevalent colors, or orange, or kind of red adjacent. And so red was chosen as the main color for our identity in order to show that this is kind of the most recognizable, the most used, and the most identified with model railroading colors that is in the current context. But to speak to kind of the diversity, the inclusivity, the idea it's a big tent in a large community, we've got alternate colors as well. So you'll see, yellows and blues, the kind of executive cream color of, executive locomotive liveries and things like that start to come into play into different parts and different aspects of what we do. And this is supposed to represent, the idea that there are a lot of different people out there. There are a lot of different things going on in the organization. And again, we're not stuffy. We're not set in our ways, but we're flexible. We're inclusive, and we like to have fun. And then when you see the logo, and you want to have it spelled out, like when you're inside the hobby, NMRA, people know what the NMRA is. We actually talked about what about changing the name of the organization to better reflect what's going on. But our designers came back to the fact that the NMRA, those four letters are so associated with all of the standards, all of the community, all of the hard work that the NMRA has done for the past 90 years. And people know the organization as the NMRA. And so the letters became kind of the important part. It's like international business machines. Nobody calls it international business machines. It's IBM. So in our hobby, NMRA is what we're known as, and what really is the touchstone for people in the hobby. But outside the hobby, when we're looking at getting younger crowd, getting new people into the hobby, the National Model Railroad Association has to be spelled out at some point. And within this, we've got kind of this theme of dots as the wheels coming from the rolling stock on the railways, and using that as kind of a motif when we spell out National Model Railroad Association, and having the O's in those words becoming those dots and the symbols that we have in our main logo. So it's just another way of going through that. And then, in our brand guideline, not to bore you, but just to kind of show you, we're looking at setting standards for ourselves and how we use this. And this is very important because we are, the first and foremost, an organization that is really looking after the standards of the hobby so that we can all play trains together. And so our branding guideline, we've set up our own standards from which we're going to play with our own logo. So here you can see an example of the NMRA logo. So you have that bold NMRA with two sets of trucks underneath it with the four dots, and how it's going to be combined with our regions and our divisions. So the idea here is that, again, we want the one unifying NMRA identity, and a way to be able to incorporate our regions in a very clear, very straightforward way. And we're doing that simply with the name as a way of identifying on kind of the main things and the official things that this identity of a region is strongly and undeniably part of the NMRA and not a separate organization. This goes for divisions as well. As you know, our divisions have a really rich and varied history and contemporary logos that people have come up with all across the world. This is an important thing. This is something that you might think of in terms of like the nose art of airplanes, during World War II, where you would have the mark of the country. You think the United States, you would have the the star and the bars that would denote, U.S. Air Force. But each airplane, each individual crew had the opportunity to paint their own logo, to paint their own branding, as it were, onto their planes as a show of their individuality, what's important to them on the local level, and making it their own.
So if I could just interject here, just so people understand what we're talking about, because it looks pretty slick. What you have is the NMRA logo on top. You have the Mid-Central region in the same standard font, I guess is what you're talking about, graphic. And then there's a spot in the middle where the individual region or division can put their own little signature on it. Is that kind of what I'm hearing?
That's what we're talking about, is being able to, in kind of one unified presentation, show the organization of the entire NMRA down to that logo of the division, which we think is really important.
Yeah. So I mean, nobody's losing their identity. What you're asking is people to just include the identity of the NMRA in signatures and literature and whatever it is you're doing. You just want to include which is no different. Like, I own franchises, and the business that I am in, the franchises, they have definite sets of things that you follow, but they do give us some leeway to put in some of our own flavor to it. But it's always surrounded by the corporate level, the head office level signatures.
Yeah, because it's important to know what you belong to, and like in your case, one of the reasons why you're a franchise is because there are things that the franchise does for all the different locations and how the business is set up, which is no different than the NMRA. The kind of the other part about this too is that we had over, I can't remember what the count was, over 200 different division logos. Some of them included the past NMRA logos in them. Some of them just said NMRA. Some of them didn't say NMRA at all. They just, like this Division 8 of the Mid-Central region that we're looking at right now, it just says Division 8. And there's no tie to the NMRA. There's no way anybody seeing that on a T-shirt would have any idea of kind of the larger structure behind all of this. But it's very important, again, to have that individuality, like you say.
Yeah, I can attest that sometimes I'll see something on social media, somebody posting something, and I'll look and I'll squint, and then I'll realize, oh, this is actually like a division of the NMRA. But it took me like quite a lot of energy to realize, oh, this is an NMRA affiliated group, and not just some random page on Facebook. So
yeah, I do think that's going to be a big benefit. Yeah, I think it's going to be a big benefit, is that all people are more likely to know their individual divisions. Being in the same city or the same area, they'll probably will have run across somebody in their model railroading adventures who's a part of Division 8 or the South Suburban Division of the Rocky Mountain region. But if it doesn't say it, if it doesn't show it, if it doesn't display it, then they don't see any benefit to joining the NMRA, because the NMRA is not really present in that view.
Right. It's hard to attract customers when people can't recognize you or find you.
Right. And so I think one of the benefits of this is that people will realize, hey, the NMRA is actually everywhere, and it's actually doing a lot of things. The NMRA is incredibly relevant and current. But I think it's been lost on people, partly because we haven't had this kind of clear identity system.
Yeah. Like that page you just showed there. Go back one. There was that one there. Like, that's a cool, like the Mid-Central region. You have their color, you have their logo, which is in all their colors right there. Like, there's an X through it, but I'm assuming that's that's a approved thing, right? The way it is.
Well, actually, no, this is not an approved thing. Thank you for pointing that out.
Shut up. Derek, can you, or no, you know what, David, can you do me a favor?
Yeah, go ahead.
Could you repeat these words? Shut up, Lionel.
Shut up, Lionel.
Okay, so that's not approved because
look what's happening with the Mid-Central region logo. It's got the original 1935 logo of the NMRA in it.
Okay.
It's got the wheel and the wrench, right?
All right.
And logos throughout history have evolved as has our civilization. And back in the 30s, and generally when you begin a company, the logos are very literal, and it's because you're introducing yourself, and you have to have these very literal elements for people to visually hang on to in order to understand what you're trying to accomplish with the logo and the branding of your company. So if you go back to even modern companies like Apple Computer, their first logo was Newton sitting underneath an apple tree with the apple, with the tree fully rendered with mountains in the background and sky, and Newton laying there, and the apple kind of with some sort of heavenly glow around it. And that was their first logo, spelled out Apple Computer Company or something like that. Almost, it was like an 18th century woodcut, right? So very intricate etchings and very literal, very realistic.
Mm-hmm.
If you go and look at an Apple product today, it doesn't say Apple Computer. It doesn't say, doesn't have the name on it even. It's just the apple with a bite out of it. And so it's become symbolic and it's become abstracted, but it's modernized along with the modernization of the company, because people know, what Apple Computer is now. And now they can deal with that abstract idea. So going back to, the region logos, I think over half of them had this old logo in there. And when you're trying to go through modernizing and saying you're changing, and we're looking towards the future and we're doing all these wonderful things, it doesn't work to have kind of the oldest logo there as part of the standard system. Of course, now it would be fun, to have kind of retro gear and things like that later on, which we're looking to have. But in terms of the main mark and identifying as being part of the NMRA, these are actually things that we don't want to have happen, because these are things that are not in line with the branding and are not presenting that unified approach. And thank you for pointing that out.
No, but that's, like, I understand what you're saying here. It's like you've got to at some point draw a line and say, okay, we're not going to have new branding and still refer to logos that are 50 years old.
Right.
This kind of feels railroady to me too in a lot of ways. You've got like the railroads that have an overlying logo, and maybe a certain division of the railroad has, we'll just say, CSX on it, and below it would have the division name on it, and it's all unified. So that feels pretty railroad oriented to me.
And I think to give. Oh, sorry, go ahead, David.
With this transition that's going to be happening at TrainFest, and I have to say this logo and this rebranding is really awesome. Are we going to get to see the chance within these regions and divisions patch jobs like you would on a locomotive?
We have talked about this, actually. I think that would be fun. We don't have anything in particular, set out.
We're doing
I think that would be fun.
No, we're doing it. I approved it yesterday. So the British region actually has banners already that they've made, pull-up banners, which it's a complete fluke, but it's the correct background color as per our brand guide that we've just launched. So I agree that they can patch over the top so that they don't have to throw them out. So yeah, there will be some patching that can be done. I think that'll be quite fun. But obviously it's got to be done in the right way. We don't want things to look tacky, and have some kind of sticker that's a completely different color over the top of something else. But in that particular instance, it worked quite well. So yeah,
that's really cool.
We will do something like that.
That's really cool. I have to tip my hat. The new logo looks fantastic, guys. I mean, it has heft. It has gravitas, like you would expect from something railroading, but it's also friendly. Like the wheels sort of give you like a smile almost. Mm-hmm. It really is like seriously strong and friendly and inclusive, and just a phenomenal job.
Lionel, I have a complaint.
Marcus is complaining.
Marcus complaining. Holy moly!
He used one of those words we don't know what it means again. Gravitas.
Yeah, there you go. I'm with Marcus on this one.
Something that you put on your mashed potatoes.
Yeah, we have rules here. Come on, you guys.
But it does. It has a seriousness to it that I think is it's both serious and playful, and I think that's what the hobby is, right? We simultaneously we're really, really serious about, we count rivets, right? But we also like to sit back and drink beer and talk about trains and watch the trains go by. This accomplishes both.
It's a really cool logo. It really, really is. I mean, it's you can tell. You know what? Here's this is, I don't know how this is going to come out. Probably incorrect, as with most things that I say. But my friend Jim Sacco, who passed away a few years ago, a guy who owned City Classics, a great model structure company. But he was the fellow that developed the logo that you're replacing. He was the guy that did it, and but that was kind of a throwback thing, right? It was like, hey, we need a new logo, and one guy volunteered, and then they did it, and and they kind of patched it, and then people used it, and blah blah blah. But what you guys are doing is trying to step to the next level of corporate identity, and go, okay, it's time to move on to a new logo, but now we're going to be a little more firm about how we use it and who gets to use it and where it's used and that kind of thing. Is that kind of correct?
That's exactly correct. Yes.
Yeah. So this is not any kind of an affront or to anything that people have done in the past. This is just the future moving forward.
Yeah, and I think this is a time in the NMRA where a lot of initiatives are going on. There's a lot of change that has happened, that is going to happen, and is really rejuvenating, I think, how the NMRA operates with modernization, how it's viewed by youngsters. The relevance of it with in the hobby. I think you're going to see just a lot of things happen in these coming years under Gordy's leadership that really are game changing to the organization, and we needed something that lives up to that and lives up to these times, these modern times, and what we're trying to do with the organization as a whole.
Yeah, and it's up to people like us or podcasts like us to jump on the bandwagon and only be positive. There's nothing to be gained from being negative. If I've learned anything from my little experience over the last several months, is there's nothing to be gained by being negative to the organization. The only way the organization is going to grow is if everybody pulls in the same direction.
Yeah, and I think that's really kind of the overriding message with this new NMRA. One of the names that we're thinking about is just changing it to the new Model Rail Association, because things are new, things are exciting. The reason why I and so many other people are rallying behind Gordy is because Gordy is saying, hey, it's just time to do things better. It's time for a fresh look. It's time for being more friendly, for being more joyful, and just being more kind to everybody. And I think Lionel, just like you're saying, negativity doesn't really do anything in a hobby. A hobby is a refuge from all the negativity in the world, and it should be a place where people can share things, can be generous with their feedback, can help people be better at things without making them feel bad. And I think that's one of the the big changes that needs to happen with the organization, is the perception that the NMRA has kind of been a curmudgeonly kind of no first sort of organization, and I think becoming a yes and more flexible, more open, more inviting. And I think that really gets at the heart of who most of the people are in the NMRA already. It's just the few percentage of rotten apples that destroy the bunch sort of thing. But it's also just to enjoy the hobby, being positive, being able to give feedback, being able to incorporate ideas and different ways of looking at things without denigrating others, without saying that what you're doing is bad, what I'm doing is better. I think is what the hobby is all about, and that's what's exciting about getting together with people and talking about what they're doing and projects they work on. The passion that people have for putting together models and scratch building things or building kits or operating railroads. It's just a time for having fun, and negativity just it just doesn't really belong in a hobby. And I think that's one of the things that we see in other hobbies. We took a look at, like the International Modelers Association, and there's a group of, modelers without borders out there. And there's this idea that's I think growing in the hobby, that there are ways of sharing your work that, elicit feedback, but keep it positive, keep it fun, and help you improve what you're doing. The RPM meets that are going on, it's all about sharing your work and being proud of what you're doing, but also being in an environment where you've got some extremely talented modelers who are able to help people come along and make their modeling better. The NMRA is no different than that. The NMRA supports RPM meets and participates and has that same ethos. But I think over the years there's kind of been this division and bifurcation in the hobby, where people have assumed that different types of groups have different personalities and whatnot. But I'm here to say, with the NMRA, I have found the most welcoming bunch of people I have ever run across. It's a place that embraces all modelers, all models, all prototypes, all scales, and it's a really unique place for that. We're seeing so much division in everything because of the internet, and kind of those sorts of possibilities have really niche interests that people are gravitating more towards being a narrow gauger, more towards being a Z-scaler, or modeling modern equipment, or whatever it is. There's all these niches which are really great sources of information and camaraderie, but you have the NMRA as kind of being that last place where everybody can come together as model railroaders, not as an N-scaler, not as a narrow gauger, but somebody, you can come as a person, as a model railroader, and share the essence of what model railroading is with the entire community all in one place. The type of energy, the things that you learn, you can't get that when you're in these niche places. The niche places can give you those specific, information and specific resources and things. But when you come all together, that just expands exponentially because of all the different people that you have contact with.
I think I love this culture of kindness thing. I think that's the way to go. Like, that's absolutely the way to go, because it's a time for change. It's a time for, like I said, I'm no expert at podcasting, and yet I fell into it, and I kind of brought the old culture with me. And it's like, no, that doesn't work anymore. Like, it's a new world. It's like you said, there's too many places for people to complain, and you got to put that aside. You got to put that aside, and I'll try to start pulling in the same direction.
Yeah, the whole point of hobbies is to get away from negativity in the world, right? To get away from work, get away from politics. And yeah, I think that's what the NMRA can offer is, so Riley's showing some swag or some merch right now, like apparel and shirts, and this stuff is awesome.
It really is. I like the 187th t-shirt. That's really cool.
Yeah, so we're going to have all the scales, don't worry. But I think what for? Weren't you just listening to what I said?
You can't expect us to completely change, right? Come on.
Exactly.
But doesn't happen overnight.
But I think this is a bit of cheekiness, right? A bit of fun that you can go around wearing the scale, literally on your sleeve, right? And everybody is walking around, 180, 1 to 87, 1 to 220, whatever it is. But it's showing that, hey, we are different, but still, like, we're all together. We're all in this one place, thinking, doing, acting, loving the same bit. So I think the swag is one of those ways to start to bring an attitude of playfulness, to kind of the seriousness of standards, and trying to promote excellence in modeling and all that sort of thing. So I think this could be a real fun avenue for the NMRA to really show and really lead with that culture of inclusiveness and kindness.
We have at our Springfield booth, we kind of have we have a third table that we kind of save for other things. I'd really love it if you guys would want to use that third table and put a whole bunch of NMRA stuff on there. That would be
We'd
cool.
certainly love to take advantage of that. Sure.
I'd love to.
Awesome.
I think that'd be perfect, especially with the new logo and the swag and everything. I think that would be cool.
I can't believe I'm going to buy an NMRA T-shirt. This is fantastic.
There you go. Now we're getting somewhere.
And you can get a sweatshirt in another color besides just dark blue.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we were going to have a store, but I don't know what happened to that.
The guy you hired is not as smart as Riley, apparently.
Yeah. Hey, Riley, maybe would you like to come work for a podcast? Maybe.
Hey, I don't know.
Well,
I've got a lot of extra time.
Have you?
No, I don't. That was sarcastic.
Gordy is licking his lips over there. I got more work for Riley.
Taking notes.
Yeah.
But I think, what you guys hit on, you would want to wear this T-shirt. That's what we're going after. That's what we're looking for. And our designers, who are very hip and cool, said, we're not going to design anything that we wouldn't want to wear. And so that's the whole point, is we're targeting, guys like you that are already in the hobby, that, already know what the NMRA is. But you look at the swag and you go, hey, that's cool, and I want to wear it just because it's cool.
All right,
that's what's going to get younger people into.
Okay, can I just stop you there? Can we just try to be honest going forward, be truthful going forward? I understand some of the people here you're targeting, but you're not trying to target somebody like me, are you? I mean,
you just said you liked it.
I love it, but I mean, come on.
That's the idea.
People sure.
There's better measuring sticks to use. We got a whole drawer of them.
Yeah. This is really cool stuff. Would you guys come back on the podcast, say, in about a month after, around the 1st of December or something, to give us an update on the feedback you got from the TrainFest and all that? Sure. Would love to.
Yeah, sure we can. Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at the magazine. Wow.
Yeah, magazine's great.
That looks fantastic.
This will be kind of like our last discussion point, because our shows are shorter now. Because one of us is getting older. So, and not any smarter.
Well, that was implied.
Yeah, exactly. So what was the magazine seems incredibly hip. Like what kind of, did you guys have a whole pile of, we're not doing this, or was everybody pretty much on board for, let's do it? This is like the best improvement I've seen in the NMRA. I mean, there's been a lot of great improvements in the last 4 years. Don't get me wrong. There's been lots and lots of positives. This really seems cool. It seems cool. It kind of like, it seems hip, seems happening.
No, I was just going to say, I think you can now see why it's taken 20 months to run this project.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You gotta incorporate everything into it, right? Because I mean, even the font on the magazine looks like it matches the, your headline fonts and all that. It looks like it matches the format of the logo.
Riley will pull the number out on top of his head, right? But I know that when I last looked at the list of things that needed to be designed, it was over 175 different things.
Wow. I think this magazine looks as clean and modern and hip as any. It is the cleanest and most modern and hip format for a magazine in the hobby. Like that is, which is impressive. I mean, this is just fantastic work, guys.
But I think that all comes from our really setting out what our goals were, and taking that on as kind of the design brief. And if you look at the organization, again, it goes back to being transparent, being clear, being modern, being hip, being relevant, and just being there as a source of information. In this case, with the magazine. And all of that was used as, the inspiration and the guiding principles towards redesigning this. The same sort of ideas are going into the organization. The way Gordy is directing people to work on all the different elements that are going on, it all goes back to these basic core values. And our job with this branding exercise was to show that visually, and to really display what is going on with the organization and how we are thinking about ourselves, and we want others to think about us.
Very cool. It's all very, very cool. Boy, I can't wait until I get to whiterosehobbies.com. And when I'm wearing my NMRA swag.
Yeah, we haven't rebranded their site. My favorite thing of the magazine as an MMR is the reformatting of the MMR page. So, every MMR is invited to write an article about their story in every NMRA magazine, right? There is currently only one MMR that's not done it, and so that's me, guilty. But we've made this now a double spread in its own background color that is different from the rest of the magazine. I mean, I wanted it doing this way because I think people are going to want to print that off, or well, get a printed off copy of that, framed and stuck on the wall. I mean, it is your model railroad story, and it looks absolutely incredible. It's got your name at the top. It's got where you're from. It's got your number, and it'll have some nice pictures of you and your layout in there, and it just looks absolutely amazing. It really does.
I'm really impressed with all this stuff. Not that me being impressed means much, but I mean, it really is pretty cool. It really, really is cool. And
this is a really good revolutionary change to the branding.
It's a revolutionary change.
I think it's going to be as big as the 8-pin plug-in standard that was created a long time ago.
Yeah, it kind of seems. DCC. Yeah, exactly. It kind of seems like this is as important as DC. I think it's kind of the thing that is going to make the NMRA easier to understand and appreciate, if that makes any sense, because the logo is going to look the same. The swag is fun. Everything is fun. It just all exudes fun and happiness and a culture of kindness. Very cool.
And I think it's the biggest change that the organization's made since we decided to stop holding a national train show in a parking lot in Boston.
Yeah, there you go. Which is, we actually just have enough time because have you decided about any kind of restitution for all those vendors in the parking lot in Boston? In Boston, see, that's the problem. It's Boston, right? Like, it's the Bruins.
Oh no! There goes the culture of kindness.
Yeah, no,
the best part about being a Leaf fan, and you want to irritate Boston Bruins fans, is the Boston Bruins play in the TD Center, which stands for Toronto Dominion Bank. So the Boston Bruins are sponsored by a bank in Toronto. Yes, life is so good. All right.
Yeah, but they've got a train station underneath their stadium, like at their arena. I mean, that's every railroader should support the Bruins,
I know
for that.
Boston is a cool place to come. All right, so you guys are going to come back in about 4 or 5 weeks. Give us an update of how it all went, how everybody received it at the train show, and what's new and happening. And that'll be cool, because I think that'll be a fun podcast to hear, to see because right now, as we record this, nobody has really seen it. I mean, it's not been made public, so. It's not that it's a secret. It's just that you're unveiling it at TrainFest.
Well, yeah, but your names are now on the D-Day list, right? So just like Operation Overlord, I have a list of who's seen this. You're now on it. Okay, so it's a very short list. But yeah, I mean, I think that would be great. We come back, we'll talk to you about TrainFest as well, give you the feedback on that, and the best place to see all of the brand will be at Springfield in January. You'll see the whole brand there. There'll be a whole new branded NMRA booth. Everyone that's been to Springfield in recent years knows how big that is. It'll be all completely rebranded. We'll try and get some stuff down to yourselves as well.
Yes,
the corner of the Battle Living Center. That'd be great.
I would really appreciate that if you could, guys, and I'm serious, if you guys could organize something up, and I'll give you the third table to be primarily all about the NMRA, because I want to promote this as much as possible. Yeah, I don't know if anybody remembers, but there was a stretch there where I was being kind of a jerk, and I wasn't helping. I was hindering the whole process, which now I regret.
But at sometimes too, you were given criticism that resulted in change. And not just your criticism, but other people. I mean, we all talk about feedback. Feedback is important to any organization, right? Because that's how you make changes. You don't always make changes based on the fact that people are telling you do a great job all the time. You got to occasionally have somebody to tell you it's not. Something's just not right. You can be nice about it, but offer the criticism.
Yeah, so
you could be nice about it.
So in the email that went out there's the email that is going out, and as we're recording this, me and Riley are preparing it, and it's quite a big email. So the email that goes out on the 1st of November, containing links to all of our new brand guide and new brand materials, is going to include the NMRA's vision for the next 10 years. It's going to include the work plan for the foundation year of that vision, which is 2026. It's going to include the results, complete transparent results of the net promoter survey that we just ran in October, so everyone can see it. I haven't edited it in any way. I've taken all of the feedback that was received, and I asked Gemini AI, Google's AI, to write a report on the basis of all that, and it's got some positives, it's got some negatives, it's got some passive comments as well. I've left all that in. That's going out as well, to everybody. So that'll be public too, so you can see it. So we do listen to feedback. We sometimes feedback may well result in enablement that you weren't expecting, and you might find yourself with a job. But we do listen and act on feedback.
Absolutely, you listen. I've had that experience over the years. I've been able to talk to anybody at the NMRA executive, and everybody. Yes, people. The executive does listen. If you have a reasonable concern or a reasonable a point that you want to discuss, there's lots of people on the NMRA executive that will listen. I never stopped loving the NMRA. I just got sick.
Hey guys, real quick, do you want to make a plug as well for Chattanooga? Because I've heard from probably a half dozen people in the last couple of weeks that, we're not sure if we're going to Springfield because we're really excited about Chattanooga. So I'm wondering if you guys want to give a quick shout out for what's going on with the national convention this year.
Yeah, in 2026. So we'll be going to Chattanooga in 2026. We're really excited about it as well. It's a city that a few years ago we couldn't have even considered being having an NMRA convention there because of some previous rules that we did away with. It's going to be a great convention. They're going to have prototype tours, including I think they're trying to do excursions on trains. Scale trains are heavily involved. It's their home. Chattanooga is a great railroad town, and not far from Chattanooga, I think I can't remember what the number is. It's something like 80% of our membership is within an 8-hour drive of Chattanooga. So I think it's going to be a big one. Novi was absolutely fantastic last year in Detroit, or this year, 2025 in Detroit. Fantastic convention, really well done by Scott and his team up in the North Central region. Really well executed. People were just exhausted because there was so much to do. Trains.com did a really good write-up if you want to go and check that out. And shout out to the guys at Trains.com. And it's going to be fantastic. So it's you want to find out more information about it, it's NMRA 2026. And I think it's .com. I'm just checking that I've said that right. Get the right thing in there. .org. So NMRA2026.org. And I think going forward, that will be the website, but the year will change. So if you want to find out about 27 or 28, you can go there and see that. So it's the July 27th to August 2nd, 2026. There'll be a national train show there at the end of it as well. National Train Show is absolutely huge. It's an absolute huge venue for the train show. There's this malicious, terrible rumor going around that we've given all the train show space over to T-Track, which is absolute rubbish. T-Track have been allocated 6% of the available space. Yes, it's a lot, but it's and they're going for a world record. But I have a different way of describing it to the way that the NRail guys are describing it, because they're obviously very excited. And that is that they've been given 100 feet by 100 feet to put as much T-Track in as possible. That's it. They've not been given a blank check of bring as many modules as you can build in the next 12 months and that you already own. So just to get that one out there, that's not really a true statement either. So I think Chattanooga will be great. I'm bringing the family again myself because I think it's going to be absolutely awesome. There's so many things to do with railroad museums and other things, and it's just such an accessible place. You're only a few hours away from Atlanta and Nashville. So other great parts of the world, and North Carolina as well. I guess, Marcus, we could have some people trekking and coming seeing you on their way into Chattanooga. So
yeah, it's definitely not out of the question for sure. And it's about 5.5 hours from here, and we love TVRM, the Tennessee Valley Railroad Museum, and the folks over there do an awesome job. So I think that's going to be a huge attraction, as well as scale trains and everything else that's going on over there in Chattanooga. I think it's a great choice for a convention,
and everybody who doesn't want to pay for lodging can stay at Derek's house.
Thanks, Derek.
Yeah, you're welcome. Come on over, Riley. Yeah.
I know. I think everybody that doesn't want to pay for lodging can stay at Chris Wayman's house.
Well, that's already decided. Yeah.
Oh, is
Yeah.
it? Oh, wow. You guys are having quite a bit of fun without me. Well, anyways, this has been a great podcast. It's been a kind of a monumental thing where we found out that Marcus agrees that I am a jerk.
Hey, Lion, I think I could speak for everybody. We all think that you're a jerk.
And I'll repeat those words earlier. Shut up, Lionel.
I've recorded my last podcast, I guess.
Yeah. Do you have some way of downloading this?
The NMRA designers create a "Shut Up, Lionel" T-shirt.
Exactly. Okay,
I'll get right on that.
Yeah, let's get this closed up because you guys are coming back in a month or so anyway, so we can go over a bunch of other stuff too. So, David, can you give out our email address?
Sure. If you'd like to reach us by email and give us your positive or negative comments of how we're doing, you can reach us at modelerslife@gmail.com. That's modeler with one L like new logo, not two L's like shut up, Lionel.
Nice.
Man, the crew's just getting smaller and smaller as we go along.
The whole culture of kindness is getting lost here.
Yeah,
that was good because all I had was National and Model Railroad for my L's. So
I might have a lot more people that can volunteer to help you.
We'll have time.
Yeah,
right.
So if you didn't catch that email, you can go to our website, amodelerslife.com, and there's a little widget there that we created that you can just fill out your text and your title and send it off to us, and we'll read it on the air. And I think our viewer mails are going to be more on the free channel more often so that people can hear their emails. And if you like this podcast, and who didn't, and you'd like twice as much podcast in a week, you can go to Patreon and just click on Patreon, and for a few cents a day, you get twice as much podcasting a week. And then if you want to move up to the T-shirt level, you're entered into the contest that is sweeping the globe. Hey, dude, where's my shirt? You'll get your shirt. We just never know exactly when you'll get your shirt. Everybody gets a shirt every year. Every T-shirt level person, there's a new shirt every year that is only available to Patreon members. And the best part about being a Patreon member is the Wednesday night chats that we have. And that's lots and lots of fun. Okay. I think we're done. Have we covered everything there, Derek?
I think so.
All right. Riley, so because you've been the man of the hour, we're going to let you take us out of here. So so I think you've heard the show enough. Maybe not. Maybe it might catch you by surprise. But you got to come up with something witty at the end of the show. So are you ready to be witty?
I am not, but sure, let's go for it.
Attaboy. So remember, a Modeler's Life podcast is considered marginally adequate by 6 out of 10. Did he fall asleep?
Oh, that's where I'm supposed to jump in? That was not in the meeting notes from the pre-meeting for this.
No, it really wasn't. There was, but you just didn't bother reading them.
Damn, I blew that.
Happy rails to you.
All right, let's try again. Are you ready this time? You feel more?
I'm ready.
Okay. So remember, a Modeler's Life podcast is considered marginally adequate by 6 out of 10
people who have gas on a regular basis.
It's another Lincoln Homer.
Wow.
That's great.
I did not see that one coming.
No,
No, we're not from 100 miles away.
Yeah.
We wanted something creative.
Well, it was creative. Yeah.
yeah.
There's nothing.
I'm looking at my gas bill right now on my desk.